Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/entitledparents. So let's sit back, relax and enjoy some Reddit stories. It's your fault that I threw my not able to swim child in a 26-foot deep pool when no one was looking. Backstory: I used to be a swimming teacher. Got the job very young by accident because I've always been the sport type, and next to my house there is a very famous Olympic pool in which they teach swimming and train Olympic swimmers from a very young age. So I went there with no expectations at all, and the next thing I knew I was working at 15. Needless to say, I was the youngest there. And if it wasn't for the shirt that literally said that I was a trainer, no one would have ever noticed me there. My job there was to take care of and teach babies how to swim, from ages 3 to 5, about 20 kids per class, from Thursday to Friday, from 2 PM to 6 PM. So the kids and the parents knew who I was. When the class was over, and the rules about the pool, which included two very important things that I reminded the kids every single day. Number 1, do not go near the pool if your teacher isn't around. Number 2, do not go in the pool if you don't have a floppy. I don't really know what they're called, we just called it that for years for some reason. But it was one of those pool noodles that were old enough to bend and we tied them around the children's chest. So it basically worked as a lifesaver. Also, you need to know that we have 3 pools, each one deeper than the others. My class took place in the medium deep one, and the kids weren't allowed in the other pool that wasn't the one they had class. The parents also knew this. The story. As a baby's teacher, or actually any kid below 12 years old teacher, we weren't allowed to leave the kids alone or send them away if their parents weren't there. This resulted in us waiting an extra 15 to 20 minutes for parents after our shift was done, which wasn't really that bad, and when we had to wait more than that, the parents had already called and we just changed our clothes, the kids' clothes, and waited with the kid outside. In this story, this was not the case. I still had a 4-year-old boy under my care. It was 40 minutes past my shift, we were both wet, cold and tired because we couldn't sit anywhere. I ended up wrapping the boy in a towel another parent gave me because the kid was trembling so much, and I actually held the boy in my arms when he couldn't bear it anymore. I swear that kid was about to faint from the cold, and I was already mentally preparing my first aid skills and a no-shame barrier to run to the nearest hospital in my swimsuit. 50 minutes, an hour. It was getting darker and cold air began to strike us. Finally, the mother appears. Doesn't even look at her child, doesn't even look at me, says, "Let's go," and starts to walk away as I'm holding her barely alive son in my arms, not even looking back to see if he's following. I had to take the other towel away since it wasn't his, and I clearly didn't trust his mother. I planned to return it myself the next day. Put the kid down, said goodbye, watch him walk a few steps and turn around and rush to the lockers because now I was freezing cold. I was furious, but I couldn't do or say anything. I guess the mother had told my bosses that maybe she had an emergency of some sort and was still sorting it through the phone. I got to the locker, fully changed into clothes that weren't pool-like, went from swimsuit and Crocs to jeans, hoodie, socks and Converse. Chilled in the locker room for another 20 minutes browsing WhatsApp groups, packed my stuff in my backpack and walked outside, closing behind me since I was obviously the last one. At this point, it was around 20 past 7. There was barely any sunlight, and it was time for Olympic swimmers to train, and they really don't care for anything that's happening around them. So I just start walking my way out of the pool area, ignoring almost everything around me. For clarification, the pool area is for swimmers and teachers/trainers only. No parents nor unsupervised children. This also means that if they don't have class, they can't be there. Allowed. It's closed to the public, and the only way you can watch what's going on inside is by walking away from the building, going up some faraway stairs to get to the seats area, where parents normally wait and watch the swimming class. The closest you can get to the pool in this area is by reaching into a sort of balcony with metal barriers, and they are still about 8 meters high than the actual ground level where the pool is. Here's an actual picture of the place where it happened, where you can see the seat area. I heard screams. It's hard to notice them at first because there's so much noise around between the water, the chit-chats, and the trainers screaming. But the screams get louder, and as I'm awkwardly passing by the deepest pool there is, I notice the same mother from before, kneeling in front of the water, holding her cell phone with one hand, and just kind of flopping her other hand into the water. I follow her gaze and immediately drop my backpack and dive into the pool, where her kid is almost 10 feet down into the water. This boy didn't drown because of me. People were screaming because they noticed this from the seats area. Someone had to rush into my boss's office, and they had called the pool paramedic. Other people were still trying to get someone's attention so they could help, and my 3 bosses, one of my co-workers, another trainer, and the paramedic showed up at the exact moment I'm getting this boy out of the pool and starting CPR to get the water out of his lungs. The mother just awkwardly stands there, lurks to the back of everything in silence, and stands there. The kid is okay. They are wrapping him in towels and telling him everything's okay. People are still wondering what happened and asking around. I take a moment to process everything and notice the mum in the back staring at her phone. I snap. Cue the drama. The dialogue wasn't exactly like this, since this happened around 3 years ago, but I still remember some of it. What the freak? Why was your not able to swim son in the deepest pool we have, unsupervised? He was not unsupervised, I was watching him. He almost drowned. Yeah, well, that's not my fault. I paid the school to teach him how to swim, and I just wanted to record him swimming to show his daddy. He does it very well. Do you want to see? I just stare blankly. She then shows me her phone, with an actual recording of her telling her son to go into the water to show daddy how you look like a fish in the water. The boy repeating the exact words I told him every day about not going into the water without a floppy or a teacher nearby. The entitled mother telling him it's okay because she's there. The boy saying he's scared, and then the mother literally pushing this kid, recording him struggle for a while, awing as how he was able to hardly float around for some minutes, and when he gets tired of moving his little arms and legs around to keep his head out of the water and trying to get to the edge, his mother pushes him away from the edge and he immediately sinks. And the video still lasts about 20 more seconds, where the mother is just filming the kid sinking, and she's just saying stuff like, "Look at me, daddy, just like a little shark." I noticed he wasn't coming up, so I tried to grab his hand, but he was way down. Thank God you appeared at the right time. There was dead silence. I should probably start swimming classes too, since I don't know how to swim. Do you know a good school? I give her a death stare. At this point, I'm done with this woman. Do you even care about your son? This is the second time he's almost died under your supervision, when you showed up an hour late after class was over, and didn't even apologize to me, nor explain why you're late. I would really appreciate it if his dad came for him after class, because I swear I will never let this child go home with you. I pause to breathe. I realize something. Why do you even push him in the water? He's 4. You know he doesn't swim nor float, or at least you'd known if you had minimum interest in his life. What the freak? What the freak? What do you mean? You are way too young to talk to me that way, you little brat. My son is my problem and not yours. I don't owe you anything. You don't have the right or power to prevent me from doing whatever I want with my son, and I couldn't jump in because I'd get my clothes wet and I have to drive home. Also, I had my cell phone in my hands. Me, visibly soaked in water from head to toe, in the clothes I'm supposed to walk home in. I mutter a screw you and walk away. I don't know what happened next to the entitled mother. I approached the kid again to say goodbye and to check if he was alright. Grabbed my backpack, my boss jumped in to take care of the situation, and I started my 15-minute long walk back to my house. Although, by the time I got home, I'm sure most of the water had evaporated from the way I was fuming. My boss filled me in the next day and said the mother was actually at the seat area by the time class was over, and she got distracted with her phone the whole hour it took her to notice class was over, and that she had to pick up the kid. That she complained that I had screamed at her, and after finding out that I was the actual swimming teacher, she demanded I got fired. I was not, I actually got a raise. She threatened to sue the school because they had babies taking care of babies. And when confronted with the rulebook about her breaking the rules, and that she would be in trouble, not sure how law applies to that in my country, for being in a pool area out of hours and nearly drowning her own son, she erased the video, said we had no proof, screamed some more at my boss, and walked away dragging her son with her. The kid never showed up to class again. Years later, and I'm still salty about the whole situation. Co-workers told me that there was more to the story, but the bosses refused to say anything about what happened next with the mother. I did get a warning about how I talked to the parents, but it was kinda like, just don't scream what the freak at them. And I wasn't in any real problem since I didn't have my uniform on. So in the eyes of the witnesses, I was just a kid swearing at an entitled woman. Wow, I mean, you gotta give props for saving the kid because otherwise it'd drown 100%. And I know it'd be different at the time, but if only they snatched the video out of the hand and showed other people straight away what happened, everyone would have sided them and that kid would have been taken away from her 100%. I really hope the Child Protective Services did get her eventually though. A grown man fought a 15-year-old soccer referee in a 4th grade game. So I am 15 and I was refereeing a 4th grade soccer game, which is 9-year-olds. When I got to the field, I was pulled over to the side by the leave owner that said that this coach was trouble and he had been knowing to flip out at bad calls and such. So I was reffing the game, and in the second half, one kid kept tripping people over, so I would tell him to stop and give the other team a free kick from where the tripping happened. So after one time, I told him if you do that again, I'm going to give you a card, and he would be out. He got whiny with me and was not happy he got called out on his BS. 10 minutes go by and they got scored on by the blue team 3 times, and each time the whole team is yelling at their goalie. It wasn't his fault because they had no defense and the whole team was playing up. So it was a 1v1 breakaway. The tripping kid does it again, but I didn't see it because this kid fell and they were next to each other and I didn't see if it was a flop or he actually got tripped. The whole team was crowding around me, telling me that he was tripped, but I can't call anything I didn't see. So they had a goal kick, and in 4th grade soccer, the league they are in, the enemy's team has to back up to the half. The kid who got tripped ran at the tripping kid and basically just ran him over. So it was chaos. Now I was holding both kids by their arms and keeping them out of fighting range. I told them to stop and asked non-tripping kids, the coaches, what to do. He said he would take him on the bench and he wouldn't get to play for the rest of the game. This wasn't good enough for the entitled parent coach because he was running at me. No, he is 250 pounds, an absolute mega chad, and 45 years old, and I am 120 pounds and 15 years old. He wanted to fight. The owner of the referee company I worked for was watching and ran out onto the field, and they cheated up to each other like they were going to fight. The head referee guy was in front of me, protecting me from this guy. He said, "I'll call the police right now if you don't turn around and go to the bench." The guy said, "No, you can call the police." Basically saying, "Do it, no balls, I want to be arrested." So I called the game and the police showed up. They hauled him away in handcuffs. He had a little kid there and he said, "Where is my daddy going with the police officers?" His teammate filled him in by saying, "Your dad is going to jail forever because he is bad." I went home and was so stressed out that I went to bed. This happened at 1 in the afternoon. I slept until 10 at night, and I asked if it was morning when I woke up, and my mum said, "No, it's night, I'm going to bed. If you are hungry, eat a cupcake and ice cream, and you can play video games for as long as you want." So I fell asleep at like 4 in the morning. That was a very weird story, I guess. But why are these like grown men getting into fights over 4th grade, 9-year-old soccer matches? Like, don't you have anything better to do? Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.